Can you see me?
Yeah, dude, looking super profesh.
Hell yeah, I got well, it's my roommate's webcam, but I got one just like it coming, and I just got this mic, so I'm excited.
Dude, check this out. When they first, I've been looking into a cam for one of the setups I'm doing in the new studio, right?
Yeah.
I'm super close to getting all moved in there. Like I've got all my stuff in there. I'm just waiting to get my tabletop installed.
Yeah.
Been a couple of delays on that, but I'm really excited. But like when we first went online teaching, because of the coronavirus and all that shit,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, we're gonna get you all webcams, okay? We're gonna get everybody a webcam. It's gonna be great. And then they're like, turns out everyone in the whole world had that idea, and
At the same time.
there are no webcams for anyone. And,
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh, it's good. I'm good for now. But man, I'm in the process. Like I'm down to like the last 3 pieces of gear for my new studio. I'm getting a new Mac. I'm getting which is just going to be just for podcasting. Solid
Yeah.
state drive. I got to get one additional smart TV and an amp to power a PA. Because dude, I got my first Tiny Desk concert scheduled.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, so I'm doing one of those a month for like my Music Unraveled show.
Yeah. That'll be cool. I've actually got a PC that's supposed to be here today. So I've been streaming on my roommate's computer. I started a Twitch channel where I like play chess, and it's been going pretty good, but we all stream on that computer, and so because of it, we like I ended up just ordering my own. I had some Bitcoin saved up. I sold my Bitcoin so I could get a PC, and I'm gonna be able to game and stream with it and stuff. So
That's
I'm pretty
cool.
excited.
Tell me about Twitch. I've been thinking a lot about it. What do you know about it?
I just got started like last week, so I know very little right now. I'm not an affiliate or a partner or anything, but basically you just stream. You can do games, you can do talking, you can do music, you can do. It's it's really a community driven platform where it's about building a niche community about whatever you like. And so I started playing chess, but I'll probably end up playing more video games and stuff now that I got this computer, because I got it so I can also do all of our video editing stuff for the house. So we've got Premiere Pro, and we do a lot of like comedy videos. And now that I've got that, I can edit it without like it crashing my laptop every 20 minutes.
I know, dude. It was weird last week. I just had a minor, which like I've been like really making. Just have a MacBook Air that I've been leaning on super hard ever since this lockdown.
Yeah.
But I typically would film with the camera and then edit. But just like I'm in a sort of weird transitional phase where I'm just using this little laptop for most of what I do while I tweak my process, because I've got 2 places I'm filming at least in the new studio, like the huge ass custom table we made, and then a whiskey barrel table.
Oh, that'll be cool.
2 whiskey barrel chairs. I've always wanted to do it. I actually have 2 whiskey barrels right now. Don't get me started on that. I'll find a place to put the other. But the one I always wanted had like this door. Is super expensive. It's like $400. It's not super expensive, but it like the door opens up. It's like a part of the barrel, right? But
Yeah.
the door opens up and it has 2 Lazy Susans. That's like a spinning shelf. I didn't know what it was.
Damn.
Right. And it's got a light in there. So I'm putting the audio in the barrel. Right.
Oh,
So I'm
that's
gonna put
smart.
like one of the mixers down in there.
Yeah.
And then like my Yeti Pro, one of my Yetis there. It's, man, I'm kind of expanding what I'm doing with the podcast, and a friend of mine who's been on like half a dozen times. He's a historian. He is starting a podcast spinoff called Arkansas Unraveled.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting.
And I'll collaborate with him, but
Yeah.
I'm more so just like I told him, like they're working on. We're going to be doing one on Confederate monuments.
Oh yeah.
Stay tuned. But I'm just going to lend filming and editing on that. So you just doing the Creative Cloud? Is that what you're doing for your Adobe Premiere?
Yeah, I whatever their basic, the one where you can download all the Adobe
that's
software.
what we just started that too, and I've been doing. I need to do another one, but man, I've been trying to learn more about Photoshop
Mm-hmm.
to help with like really honestly podcast promotion and to make some graphics for each individual one of the places I have my podcast hosted. And
Yeah. I was lucky that in high school, I was the photo editor for Bryant's newspaper. And so I got a lot of training on Photoshop, and it was CS5 then. And so,
mhm.
like, I'm pretty up to date with that, but I didn't know anything about the video editing software. So it took me several hours of tutorials and learning and trial and
See,
error.
I'm the opposite with that. I started, so that's how I met Jeff Woods. Is
Yeah.
my very first experience with Adobe Premiere was in 2009. I was going back to school. I was 23 years old. I took a class with him in which I edited a documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and it was frustrating to learn, let me tell you. But I got in hundreds of hours while I was working at Tech because I just continued to. I had acquired that experience, so when they needed video editing done, I would be the guy, and
Yeah.
I worked for a project where that's all I did for like 2 or 3 years. So,
That's what I've been doing here is just anytime my roommates need something edited, I've just been volunteering to do it. That way I can get those hours in and learn.
bro, are you guys kind of like all those dudes on like Knocked Up?
Man, it's been a while since I've seen Knocked Up.
It's just like a bunch of funny ass stoners that all live together
That's
and
exactly
like
what we are.
and
Yes.
like film crazy shit like fish bowls on their head and stuff. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just like how many roommates do you have? And you're all comedians, right?
Yeah. We're all comics. We all started in Little Rock, or we all met in Little Rock. I think David, he's one of the twins. Him and his brother may have started in Michigan, but then it moved to Little Rock pretty soon. But there's five of us. We moved out here with six, but one guy, he left after like a month. And so we don't really count him. But we got Josh Ogle, Kayla Esmond, and David and Wesley Kleitch. The Kleitch brothers are the twins.
Nice. Yeah. That's cool, dude. So tell me, what have things been like? I know you mentioned that some of your roommates were at the protest last night.
Yeah.
Um, and I have my friend Jack. He lives in Southern California. He works in finance. I've got a guy I know named Mike. He lives in downtown LA near Nuys.
Yeah. Van Nuys.
Yeah, he's been posting about that. Like that's where like he walks his dog and runs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But so what are you seeing? Like what's going on? It looks crazy. There's helicopters and guards and
Yeah. There's it. I know that I read an article where the National Guard's actually leaving LA now. So I think that's good. But there for a while, the first night that it was happening, they kept cutting curfew back earlier and earlier to where it was like curfew's at
to
7. Okay.
5 or
Curfew's at
something.
6. Curfew's at 5. We were like, what the hell? And which, I mean, everybody was staying in because of coronavirus anyway, or at least a lot of people were. And then the first couple nights we could hear the flashbangs and stuff from our house. Like we were sitting out on the back patio listening to it. It was nuts. But then we like here lately we've been carrying water and snacks and stuff down to the protesters and just trying to do what we can to support but stay out of the way, you know.
What? Dude? So it's been because we had to close because of coronavirus too. March,
Yeah.
right after 2 weeks after we moved to a new location. But how has that been for like you and gigs and
Well,
work and
all of my gigs got canceled. I got laid off of Flappers Comedy Club, which is where I was working, which is really unfortunate, but it is what it is. And there's like no open mics going on in town right now. Well, there's not supposed to be any open mics going on in town right now. There may or may not be some speakeasy type events going on, but I cannot confirm or deny. But yeah, everything's shut down. So I'm trying to, that's why I've been like getting into Premiere Pro and getting into Twitch and other things, is trying to like broaden my horizons where I can pick up some other skill sets to where I'm not just kind of sitting here like spinning my wheels waiting. Cause I've been doing a lot of writing, but as far as stand up goes, they're doing a lot of like Zoom mics where they'll do like this, an open mic where it's this type of,
I
and
wondered about that.
I have no interest in it at all. It's because it, to me, and I get that there's some comics that they like it and they say it gets a lot, it does a lot for them. But for me, it's not without a crowd there to work on. It's like you're doing a monologue, and it's not a.
Yeah. What about like, have you thought about this? Like, I only mention this because I've seen some guys that I know that are not like stadium level musicians, but like that they're famous in their own right, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, they'll just be doing a guitar solo show, and then they post like their Patreon, like they do like Facebook Live or YouTube Live or
Yeah.
something like that. But they get like they post like Patreon and tip jar, PayPal, and like kind of crush it. But I also noticed like there's this one guy I was watching the other day. He had 2,000 people watching, and I was like, 2,000 people live right now. Like, well,
Yeah.
good for you, dude. Like that's a lot of people seeing your tip jar and stuff like that. And like, I know that this particular guy, like one guy I'm talking about would be like Jerry Joseph, Michael Glabicki, who used to play with a band called Rusty Red. They say, "Send me on my way." That song.
Never heard it.
It was in that movie Matilda. It's
okay.
like their famous hit, right?
Yeah.
It's in every movie. but guys like that, another guy, Sam Holt, like these are all like kind of big name people at one point or another, but they're crushing it in the digital concert scene right now because nobody can go to a concert.
Well, one of my buddies that like I make fun of him for it, but he's made over $500 just on TikTok, just from going live on TikTok and like making jokes with people. And then like the more people tip in money, he'll like do a shot or take a drink and like interact with them. And so he's had a lot of success doing that. And which is kind of why I've kind of moved over to Twitch, because I'm really like video games and gaming anyway. And so I'm trying to get something going there. But yeah, everybody's having to adapt and figure out what works best for them.
Yeah, dude, I'm just really interested in Twitch and TikTok. I just re-listened to Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk and then Crushing It, a newer version, like an up-to-date. And but man, it's just like I've done a lot of training on digital media platforms and gone to trade shows and stuff at this point. And like I'm getting like reinvigorated, but I'm trying to like be more principle driven with it. Because it just like that guy talks about, he's like, oh, like at one point when I should have been going all in on YouTube, I decided because they were going to let me in, I went all in on this other platform, which I invested in. It was a horrible mistake. Yeah. And then YouTube blew up. But there's been instances where he's gone all in on certain platforms and then they fold. But I think it's just like, too, it's about where the audience is at. That's what I'm trying to think about.
I got into Twitch because I was watching when here recently there was a tournament where Magnus Carlsen, the world champion chess player, was playing Hikaru Nakamura, who's a great world-renowned chess player, and they were doing it all on Twitch. And there was two commentators. One is a FIDE women's master, and another one is a grandmaster. And the commentators' relationship was like, they had really good chemistry, so it was really fun and really entertaining to watch and them explain the chess match as it was going on. And then I realized there was 45,000 people watching like a chess match. And so I was, okay, like I didn't realize like chess would be that big on Twitch because I love playing chess.
How long you been playing?
Since I was in second grade. I played in elementary school, went to state tournaments. Like it's my favorite game.
Do you know like the Queen's Gambit and shit?
Oh, yeah.
I was just telling the class about that. I was like, everybody uses chess analogies for martial arts, and I think it's bullshit. But here's my chess analogy. Yeah. But I was talking about strategies, right? I'm like, yeah, you know, everybody knows that the knight goes up and over. Big deal. I'm like, this one goes diagonal. I'm like, yeah, but the Queen's Gambit, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I have a really cool a guy that have you heard my intro music to the podcast?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so the guy that recorded that, he's been to Afghanistan. He's a vet, real cool dude, blue belt in jiu-jitsu, maybe purple belt now. He's in chiropractic. He's finishing up chiropractor school.
Cool.
And he gave me this badass chessboard he got in the Middle East. It's like polished hand, like Andy Dufresne, Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah,
that's badass.
Yeah, but I had that on my podcast table at one point, but I just got too much. I have like 4 mics sitting on here now, and but my new table is massive. And I'm going to be putting it back on there. Maybe we can do you could beat my ass in a game of chess.
Dude, I'd love to play. Hell yeah.
One person's beat my ass super hard. But dude, we could we could stream that super easy.
Oh yeah, that'd be fun.
I'm trying to think of all sorts of cool little spin-off shows to do. Like I've been I want to do like a morning rant show of some kind, right?
What would you
Well,
rant on?
you know,
Like politics or what's going on in the world,
the
or
Confederate flag,
yeah,
Confederate monuments, Civil War being about slavery, the lost cause. Like I got topics for years. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? But just kind of like one other thing I'm doing, we're getting our website rebuilt. I'm starting a blog to kind of like I'm only going to talk about like I do at the podcast. I have certain streams, like really 5 main branches of shows I do that
Mm-hmm.
are all like different. And I'm doing kind of like 3 main themes on my blog, but I'm doing some stuff to kind of try. Like, man, the thing is, like, with when I do a jiu-jitsu podcast, that's like great organic content for people at the gym.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's with the blog. I'm gonna start doing like martial arts history short pieces with that. But like with the podcast, I want to start doing some shorter video. That because I don't see myself. I might have an intern. I'm working on getting that, but like doing clips.
Yeah.
Basically, I just want to create more content and put like what I was telling you, I was interested in Twitch and stuff. Is like, you know, getting content and just like, oh, well, this is I do a Life Unraveled, Bears on Life Unraveled, but I did a whole bunch of jiu-jitsu Unraveleds last week.
Yeah.
You know, where it's just something, it's kind of, but, you know, I got my hand involved in so many things. It is hard to get it all out sometimes.
Dude, I understand that. Like, especially when you start so many different projects and you have so many different ideas for what you want to do.
Fucking idealism, man. It's a disease, dude.
Yeah.
It's a disease. I can't help it.
But the good thing about Twitch is that you can do a setup that it's literally just this, where you're just chatting, and then you're watching chat as they come in, and you can start a dialogue with your viewers and interact with them. It's a pretty cool platform.
This is a future. You know, like they're gonna make us do synchronous teaching next semester. So
What is
basically,
that?
that means I have to give every student the option to log in like this.
Oh,
Like I still show up and I teach face to face. Like for example, Arkansas history Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8. But every single person could choose to log in from home if they wanted.
that's interesting. Do you think that will help or hurt the class, like as far as their learning?
I think that's the bridge. I think that's some sort of weird middle ground they're doing. I like it, but I don't think that. I think it'll be abused a little bit, but I don't think that's the issue with it. People would come to class and coast and not do shit anyway, right? I have people that miss 1 or 2 days that have failed my class. Like talk about being on autopilot, right?
No shit. Like anytime I struggled in college, it was because I wasn't going to class. Anytime I was in class, like you can't do anything else but absorb the information.
Yeah.
If that had been implemented when I was in college, I would have my personality type probably would have abused it. I'd have been that guy that's like, oh shit, I got to be in class in 10 minutes. Let me just log in real quick.
Well, you know, like I started, like when we went online, first I was kind of like, okay, what I need to do here. Mm-hmm. Okay. I need to create a process that is like from here forward to like whenever we get through to the end of the semester, wherever I stop, I don't have to redo that stuff next time. Right. Yeah. So like, I really tried to like hammer down. I got to where, particularly in like U.S. history, like I put together a bunch of good content for U.S. and Western Civ and Arkansas, but I'll redo a lot of the Arkansas history stuff because I've come up with some better content since. But yeah, I think that'll be just like a transition we make. And I think there's so many professors that are near retirement. They're never going to teach online. I think that we're in this weird area, especially with our college, because most of the professors don't teach online, and they have this stupid long process that make you go through to develop it. That's the deterrent more than anything. Yeah. Like when I teach a face-to-face, I'm like, I could just go to him and be like, I want to teach American government. And because my degree is in history and political science, and I can teach American government, even though I've only had 6 hours political science, they would be like, Okay, let us sign you up for that. You're going to be teaching it next, Tuesday, Thursday, next semester, Tuesday, Thursday at 8. And it's like, no, there's no month or summer long course development that you don't
Yeah.
get paid for or anything. It's just like, oh yeah, you got it. We're sure.
Oh,
You
that's
got it.
cool.
So, but yeah, I'm like, let's do that for the online classes, guys. Come on. Yeah, no work.
Yeah.
I got this. I promise. Look what I'm doing with Bair right now.
That'd be nice. I mean, I would appreciate it if I was your student. That's for sure.
Well, man, I do really try. Like, what I do at the podcast, like making audio, video available, both. Like, I try to do that with all my lectures. Like, they can go to my YouTube channel or they can listen to the audio. And then on my Western Civ class, I have I found an audio version of the textbook by one of the authors. So it's like his
Oh,
rendition.
that's cool. Yeah.
So it was a great courses. It's super close, but just it's close enough they could even master the test right from the book.
Yeah.
But, there's just so many ways that you can digitally connect and get more resources to people than I could ever do in the classroom. So some professors don't even use Blackboard, and I got like all my shit on Blackboard: lecture notes, video lecture, audio lecture. Here's some documentaries about it because I know you're not going to be reading or listening to the textbook. But since you're not going to do that, check out this sweet Tutmozy documentary.
That's dope.
Yeah.
The one thing that the shutdown has showed is that there was a lot of things where technology could have been being used and it wasn't because people were, I guess, stuck in their ways or like didn't want to be flexible or like, no, it's got to be done like this. And then once everything shuts down, it's like, oh yeah, we can do 90% of the stuff online.
Oh, well, think of like just meetings in general, like the classic joke, like this could have been an email. Like when we're at the meeting, now it's going to be like, this could have been a video meeting.
I didn't have to leave my desk. You could have just logged us in and told us.
Yeah. Well, there was like some commercial going around for a while or something where like the person shows up with like a screen on their face to a meeting, and it's like the person's sitting at home like, what's up, guys? But like somebody's physically there for him, might be in a surrogate.
Dude, my roommate, they showed me a video on YouTube. I don't remember the name of it, but it's like a Zoom meeting, but everyone's there in person. So they're in the office, but this guy keeps like logging in and logging out. And so he like just goes limp and then he'll come back and they're acting out. Every actor's acting out like the problems with online meetings. It's really funny.
That is funny. I'll have to Google that.
Yeah. When we get done with this, I'll figure out what it is and I'll send you the link to it. It's funny.
Yeah. Well, so outside of the protests and rioting, where are you guys on phasing back into normalization in LA area?
Right now, we are still in the middle of everything shut down. Like masks required everywhere. Like you got to have lines everywhere, like 6 feet apart. They said the end of August, but every time they give us a date, they keep pushing it back longer and longer.
We've got pushed back on phase 2 again.
Yeah. So what's the difference? I don't know what the different phases are. Nobody's told us. So
there's so you can there was, I hadn't looked at it in several weeks, but like a federal guideline that came out on like the phases of reopening the country. Right?
Okay, I missed that.
And each state kind of either went with that exact plan or modified it a little bit.
Yeah.
And that is where all of that you're hearing comes from my knowledge, right? Is that
Gotcha.
The governors all kind of disseminated that plan and we're like, hey, here's what. But and then sometimes some people just went with the federal plan that were business owners, because I think some, like an example, New York, California, they their governors were much more strict, right? So they modified the plan much more.
There was people out here getting arrested for like going to the park, going to the beach, like go away from people, not where they're around people, but like they shut down all the national parks, all the campsites, because I went up in the Sierras for a week, maybe, but they had it all shut down. Like all the gates were closed. You had to walk around them and stuff. It was stupid. And the thing that I don't understand is, and I get that the government is it's kind of like between a rock and a hard place with all the protests and stuff going on right now. You want everybody to stay indoors because of the virus. But as soon as you start telling people, oh, you can't come out and protest, that's how things get way worse, way quickly. So I don't really know what the right answer is. But it is strange to me that like I can't go to work right now, but there's thousands of people marching in the streets.
Well, you know, it's always been strange to me that my business was closed, but Lowe's was having a fucking sale, man. Black Friday, like parked out to the highway, you know,
Are
like
you serious?
every big box business in our town. And then there was like a Home Depot in Denham Springs, and this
Yeah.
was in like April, that had like and you know how hard New Orleans was hit, but this
Mm-hmm.
was in April, and they had like 1,000 people in their in a Home Depot in Louisiana on a Saturday.
Damn.
And it's just like, yeah, it's a problem when you shut small business, but you close. And too, so like, I'm not conspiratorial so much about all this, honestly, believe it or not.
Yeah.
But, you know, honestly, here's a big sect of voters, small business owners,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, dude, never have I felt more disenfranchised because like we just got pushed out of our own neighborhood because they wouldn't let us grow and expand and build there, even though we're like sitting right in the middle of 5 crack houses.
Yeah, I remember all of y'all what y'all were going through with all
But
that.
we're just like 1 block off of Parkway, which is a good location. We wanted
Mm-hmm.
to build on, expand there, and best case scenario worked out, but still like, okay, whatever, just move over here.
Right.
But then just like, so that was just due to overregulation, honestly. Like that's what you could say. But now it's just like, so that was local government. Now it's state and federal government like closed down small businesses. And in New York, 100,000 small businesses are never going to reopen.
That's terrible. And it's crazy to me because it's a complete double standard because like you said, the big large corporations, they get to stay open. They get to still have customers coming in. But it's the small businesses that rely on their customer base that's getting shut down. And I'm not saying that I want everybody to get sick, but there's got to be a better answer.
Dude, so did you see that speaking of conspiracies, not Umbrella Man or who's dropping the bricks off, because I've already spent a lot of time talking and trying to figure that out, and I haven't figured out anything.
Yeah.
But what is the craziest conspiracy that you've heard amidst all these protests and coronavirus stuff? Anything super wild that you?
The wildest things that I'm hearing now is that, you know, coronavirus isn't even contagious. Like it doesn't get spread on surfaces anymore. It like, in that it was never as big a deal as everybody was making it out to be.
Oh, you're not you're asymptomatic. You don't have symptoms. Oh, you can't pass it on to me. But that was the opposite of what it was the other day, you know?
Exactly. And so now it's like, who the fuck do you believe?
Well, hey, you know, like I thought about this, like very realistically, that could all be foreign interference. The fact that we don't know, like somebody's putting out those contradictory, and I haven't done the research all the way back, but I would almost guarantee you that a lot of that is scamming, right? That just to make us confused on it. And
see, I've noticed that with the riot stuff too, with everything going with the riot stuff. Like especially my grandparents, what my grandma will see on Facebook, and she'll call me and talk to me about it. And I'll be like, Grant, that didn't happen. That's not true. That's
so. Did you see the old guy get pushed over and he busted his head? Okay,
yes, I did.
So Donald Trump tweeted.
Oh, I read the tweet.
Holy fuck.
Yeah, what a dickhead.
But here's the thing. I guarantee you he saw the same meme that I saw. Like, hold on, right? Like, because that's what people are like circulating these memes that George Floyd was a Freemason, all this crazy, he was sacrificed by the Masons, all this crazy shit. But there was a meme that was like, and I'll tell you who shared it too. This xenophobe here locally who talks shit about Obama being a Muslim carries AKs to our protest.
Oh wow!
I saw him share this meme, and it was like, "Look, this old man right here is Antifa, and he's got a blood pack under his jacket." And you see here, this blood behind his ear, there's a thing going up here, and it's making the blood come out. That cop didn't even push him that hard.
Dude, that's such horseshit. You watch that video, like the way that old man's head hits that concrete.
They were saying, and I think on Trump's thing, he was saying that he was trying to scan their stuff to black them out or whatever. And I'm like,
I read that he like had picked up one of their helmets and was trying to give their helmet back to them.
I don't know. One thing that made me nervous, and I'm not justifying this, but that guy got his hand, which had a cell phone in it, if my memory and eyes serve me correct. The old guy, but he got his hand dangerously close to that guy's duty belt.
Yeah.
Right. In which case, like anytime you get close to, I'm not justifying his actions. I think that it got dealt with and it needed to be dealt with. But anytime somebody puts their hand close to a gun, whether you're a concealed carry holder, like I've had it, like people want to tussle around with me, and I've got my concealed carry on me or something.
Yeah.
It's stressful. You're just like, whoa, stop, right? I'm not justifying that at all, but I wonder if he just wasn't on high alert and is like, oh, this guy's touching my gun belt. I don't know.
I mean, maybe, but to me, like that's a 75-year-old man. Like he's not.
He's an
not a
agent
threat
provocateur from Antifa, Bair. Okay.
And something else like we've seen, because before all this kind of blew up, I was in that camp where I was like, it's just a few bad apples camp. I was like, they can't all be bad. It's not all cops. But like the more these protests have gone on and the more around the country from different places, you see videos of people where like the couple in Atlanta, the students in Atlanta, where they were driving and they got them text on their phone at 9:15 or at 9 o'clock that there was a curfew, and they were out at 9:15, and then the cops come, bust their windows out, drag them out of the car, take knives and like slit their tires and completely ruin that dude's car. Just completely ruin. Like who knows if that was his only vehicle to get to work or not, and then drag them out of the, like, you see stuff like that going on all over the country, and it's like this shit's got to stop.
Yeah. Well, and I think it was Minneapolis, if I'm not mistaken. It was maybe the National Guard. I think it was the National Guard. If not, it was like state police or riot squad. But they're like, these people are on their porch.
Yeah.
And they're like, get inside. And they're just like, what do you mean? Like they're like marching down the street,
yeah,
like inside. And then they launch like some sort of like smoke canister, paint canister, or something at them. And I had somebody on my friends list on Facebook share that shit and be like, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. And I was like, motherfucker, sitting on your own front porch is a stupid game to play in America now?
No shit. Like that's the thing I don't understand about the leadership is that there's been every opportunity to de-escalate this stuff and try to come to like a point of reason, but it seems like everybody wants to keep escalating and ramping it up. And like if you don't listen to peaceful protest and it starts to get violent, like, and you start like ripping people out of their cars and like shooting at people on their front porch, like that's how you get violent uprisings really quickly.
Indeed. Okay, so just back to the insensitivities of it all, and not getting into calling Donald Trump a racist or anything like that. But did you hear what he said about George Floyd the other day at the speech?
About him looking down, looking at job numbers, and like, oh yeah, he's smiling because of them job numbers.
He's like, George is having a great day up there, and he's looking down, and I'm like, whoa. No, George is not having any great days ever again because he's dead. So like that was just such a weird.
It's just like how he uses the Bible to like pander to Christians, and he's doing that same thing where he's taking this person that's a martyr and like, oh look, I have this great thing about him, and like, oh, he's looking down, looking at my numbers, and he's making it about him.
Like, and he's accusing the left of doing all this to steal the black vote and to steal my vote as a small business owner and shit like that, right? Everything is a conspiracy to steal votes right now because it's an election year.
I've never seen anything like this. It's hard for me to put words to it. And as a comic, like part of me is like, this stuff is so insensitive. And also I'm a white redneck dude. Like sometimes my opinion probably doesn't need to be heard right now. But at the same time, it's like, do you talk about it? Do you not talk about it? Do you make jokes about it? Do you not? Like,
I would say here's a great thing that I've been talking to people about, right? Is like, it's like something to do with, so like I've become more and more fascinated with the differences in like Old South and New South and pre-Civil War, post-Civil War, post-Reconstruction,
Yeah.
segregation, Jim Crow laws, like how that developed and how it's connected to a lot of the stuff we're seeing, right? But like, have you ever heard of the lost cause myth?
No, I haven't.
So this is a version of history. So like my aunt just turned 50,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she was taught that. So she was going to school. Let's see, when would she have been? She was born in 1970, I believe. 70, 80, 90, 2000. Yeah. So she's born in 1970. So she would have been in junior high in like 84 when this is still being taught. And
Yeah.
this is like when the school in Hartman in Johnson County consolidates, and they name their school the Johnson County West Side Rebels, and their logo is like a Confederate flag and all this shit. Which the
Yeah.
Stars and Bars flag was never even flown in Arkansas. Is what my one of my professors just told me the other day. He's like, see this this was never even flown here, and this is more of the flag that you would have seen at like Pea Ridge and Prairie Grove.
Yeah.
You know, but this lost cause myth was this version that, like, why you hear people arguing ever that the Civil War wasn't fought over slavery, that there's any debate on that point, period, is because in the South, they rewrote the history.
Yeah, we were taught, and I graduated high school in 2011. We were taught states' rights. Like, it was all about states' rights. Slavery was a part of it, but it had very little to do with it, which is utter nonsense.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. I'm like, states' rights to do what?
Yeah, own people.
Well, and then it was more complicated than that. I'm like, yeah, states' rights is an incoming state, right? So states to the west and the southwest, and new states that would enter the Union as we've expanded from where the country was all the way to the coast. In the few years after the Civil War, that they could be slave states if they wanted, that they had the right to choose, like they had the right to choose to secede if the country decided we didn't want to be, if we didn't want to have slaves anymore as a country, right? So then that's when it like, oh, well, we can't, economic differences. It's like, yeah, because you don't want to lose your free labor, bro.
No shit.
Like,
Economic difference. You've got all these people working for you, and you're not paying them or treating them like people.
So the three accepted answers on the citizenship exam are slavery, economic differences, and states' rights. But all of the 6 to 7 things that people hash down to the Civil War, they all go back to slavery.
Yeah.
I've been reading just so I can have these conversations. I'm planning on doing some talks about it. We're going to do some podcast about it, is to actually read each state's secession letter, right?
That'd be really interesting.
Yeah, and then I hear people a lot, but they're talking about like it being a part of their heritage and stuff, and it's like, I get that. I get that your relative that fought probably wasn't fighting to preserve slavery. That's the sad part about it, is that the South had all of these millionaires, this entrenched aristocracy that was, they were the economy.
Yeah.
And they're running things, and you didn't see as much of that in the North, but man, the southern states had just an entrenched millionaires, tons of millionaires per capita. More so, I was reading a stat on this. I think I'm not misquoted, but more millionaires per capita in the South than any other place in the United States in 1860.
I did not know that. I had never heard that before. But it makes sense.
Well, I was talking to somebody, this is a fact on Arkansas, for example, 1850 to 1860 is when the prosperity really started to hit Arkansas. That's when Arkansas was surging. And still Arkansas they were late to the game, and they still had fewer slaves than a lot of southern states. So, but man, that's just like the lost cause myth. I've just been encouraging everybody to go learn about what that is, because like a good friend of mine was like, oh, I thought it was economic differences. I was like, Well, it was.
Yeah, because of slavery. It's easy to
But
have all the millionaires when you ain't paying anybody for the work.
well, and here's the thing, man. It's a disservice to oversimplify it and just say it was about slavery. It
Yeah.
is. But here's the thing. Everybody wants a headline. Nobody wants to have this conversation, a back and forth of like, because this one South Carolina historian I follow, he was arguing about Arkansas, and I was like, let me interject,
Yeah.
but I couldn't interject because it was a video he uploaded, right? But
Yeah.
I'm going to interject in some way. But here's the thing: Arkansas did secede with the last wave of states to secede from the Union, but they did that only when all of the Delta planters came to Little Rock and like essentially forced the governor. They're like, and here's where it gets into too. They're like, we're not going to be sending troops, so Abraham Lincoln can use our people to kill other Americans. But then it's like the dichotomy of it though is like, yeah, but you're going to end up going to kill other Americans.
Right.
You know, but yeah, they took over the arsenal, and that was like, and Arkansas had a 69-1 secession vote. And this one guy who became the governor during Reconstruction for a minute was the only guy that Isaac Murphy, he wouldn't vote.
Shout out to Isaac Murphy having the balls to say no.
Yeah. Good job, bro.
Dude, what do you think about the monuments and stuff that we still have up of the Confederacy and everything?
I've got a problem with them because I know I've been researching about the history of how they got put up and who put them up.
Okay.
Right. So, and like they're all facing north towards the aggressor. That's one detail. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Damn.
So the same people who wrote like the state history books, who got this lost cause myth, the United Daughters of the Confederacy.
I think I saw you share something about them on Facebook the other day. Yeah.
Yeah. And then somebody was like, this video's from Vox. Vox is bullshit. And I was like, well, here is this cited and referenced material. Let me know if you have any other questions. I went ahead and pulled this from the Virginia State Encyclopedia of History, so we're in the clear on, Virginia, where Robert E. Lee's from. Yeah, we went ahead and went with that one. And Thomas Jefferson, he's from there. He had a slave mistress. Watch this documentary. But anyway, yeah, dude, it runs deep. But then, here's the thing. Somebody brought this up. It's like, well, next thing you know, we'll be taking down monument to Thomas Jefferson because he owned slaves. And it's like, maybe. I hope. I kind of hope not. But let's take down Andrew Jackson statues because he's a piece of shit over the Native Americans.
Absolutely.
But then Thomas Jefferson had Louisiana Purchase, so he's kind of a piece of shit on the Native Americans too because they lived there.
Well, and my thing, when I was a kid, like, I would wear shirts with the rebel flag on it, and
Me too. I just talked about that.
Like, I was raised and taught heritage, not hate, and that's what I firmly believed until I got out of Arkansas, and a lot of it was in the Army. Like, when I was in basic, my bunkmate was a black man, and I got really, really close to him, and was, to this day, still one of my best friends. Like, we talk every week, and hearing about what people like that aren't from the South, when they see that flag, what they think and how it makes them feel, what it represents to them.
I know,
and then it's like, I don't want to represent that at all. I don't want to be a part of it. And maybe for some people it doesn't have any hate with it, but for so many people it does. So I don't want to be associated with it.
Well, it's what you said. It's the people that don't know. They just don't know any better, man.
Yeah.
It's like I don't hold it against people. I'm not going to go comment on their post, but I am going to keep making my super educational post on the
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm with you, man. Like that's a great. I'm glad you kind of like went through that. I kind of went through the same thing because like I've been posting about. I made this funny post about like I had I heard these two old guys talking about like how college history professors are teaching all people like me, and I am a fucking college history professor. I was like, you guys are talking about me, but then I was like, they're also talking about like when I was learning from my mentors who taught me to be more empathetic. Mm-hmm. Like you learned to be empathetic with that, right? So I learned all the stories about the civil rights movement and modern American history, 1945 to present, and Arkansas history during the Reconstruction and the New South. And it's like it made me way more like go through a process like you just described many times over in many areas. And I think that's very important. I think when people don't know, it's like like we were talking yesterday on this podcast about how like all of that rebel flag shit was sold at the Peach Festival in Johnson County on our courthouse steps, man.
Yeah.
Rings, chained wallets, hats, T-shirts, all Confederate flag, and everything. And just to know that it would, I don't know any African American, any black people that would be comfortable with like that. Maybe,
I don't either.
Maybe some would. Maybe some would. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. And since they wouldn't be, I'm not comfortable with propagating it or with it being around that makes them uncomfortable.
right. And also for me, it's that I don't want to ever, because especially being out here in LA, being who I am, I get judged as soon as I walk in the door. People immediately make assumptions about me anyway. And so I don't want to give anybody any ammo to that I'm this stereotype that they've seen on TV or they've seen on Fox News or whatever. And like, I want to be a good representation of like the backwoods culture of Arkansas, not the bad representation that everybody like seems to know.
You know, and maybe you could spin some comedy off of this idea, but there's something, a very big thesis in Arkansas history, and this is reoccurs, and like I grill my students on it like almost every assignment. But there, like what you just said, there is the Arkansas image, the stereotypical image that people have of Arkansas is this. If you go, like, you remember a few years back, the History Channel did this thing called The States, and they had like a little like 13-minute deal about every state. If you go watch Arkansas, it hits on that. It's like often, you know, associated with the barefooted, and there's the Arkansas Traveler, the tune and the artwork. I got like a custom drawn by an artist that's been on the podcast.
That's cool.
He drew his own rendition of it. I'm putting it as part of this Arkansas Unraveled spinoff in like one of the backgrounds. Yeah, but I mean, this Arkansas image of this the stereotypical redneck hillbilly. But the fact is that's not doing it justice. We actually sent more troops to fight for the Union than any other southern state other than Tennessee, where our sitting vice president in the Civil War was from, Andrew Johnson.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So at that, and then too, the fighting in Northwest Arkansas was so contentious because the extreme western flank of the war, Missouri, is a slave state that did not secede from the Union the entire Civil War.
Right.
Like, that's crazy. And then too, so like anytime I see like Virginia, something like, not getting into Virginia again, but like something coming out of South Carolina, I'm like, hey, weren't you guys the first to leave the Union? Your secession letter was the meanest. I read it. It was very, very mean what you said about those human beings.
What does it say?
I mean, it is the most like, hey, you know, we're gonna own these human beings. You're not gonna do shit about it, and this is our way of life, and we will kill as many people as we can to preserve it. I'm heavily paraphrasing, but it's like, it is a no bones about it, like slavery. You want to mess with our ability to own humans? Forget about it, man. They, you know, there was a guy that I started teaching about in 1810. Right before the war, 1812, with Henry Clay and John C. Calhoun. C. Calhoun was, man, he was a congressman, career politician. He was vice president under Jackson for one term. But he was from South Carolina, and he goes back after being vice president there. Almost gets South Carolina to secede under Jackson in the 1830s, called the nullification crisis, because they said, we're going to declare this federal law null and void in South Carolina borders. It was not to do with like slavery or anything, but they just had a real contentious attitude for a long time, and it's no surprise that they were the first state to secede in my mind.
Yeah.
If you're from South Carolina, sorry. Sort of. I'm sure
it's crazy to me that it took, I mean, how much of human history up until the 1800s, which I guess I'm only looking at it from an American's perspective, not really a global perspective. But like, how long did it take us to reach a conscious decision that's like, oh yeah, this is bad, this is evil, this is something we shouldn't be doing, and we're still
Yeah,
dealing with the ramifications of that to this day.
we are, man. And then the fact that it's late 1850s, 1860s American South, and here's a laundry list of the places that are segregated. Businesses like department stores, movie theaters, courthouses, separate churches, water fountains, buses, short and long distance busing. I mean, everything. It was, but and then too, like when I teach in Arkansas history, that did allow for that. There's I don't see any positives of that really, but here's what they were saying is like, look, this dude over here that was the black barber, he got to cut everybody's hair and he made really good money. And I'm like, well, that is good for him, because like, but you think about the reality is like, let's get our hair cut by a black man. Big fucking deal.
Yeah.
But like at that time, like that's the only people's hair he could cut because of what the system that was made. And that system wasn't made everywhere in the country. It was just made in the South after the Civil War, while we were writing those fucked up revisionist history books about the lost cause myth,
Damn. And something else that I've noticed being out here, and I think I may have mentioned this to you before, but I've heard more racist, fucked up shit out here in Los Angeles than I did growing up in Arkansas.
Yeah,
and I think the reason
so
why,
melting pot, like just so diverse.
Well, I think part of it has to do with that in Arkansas and in the South in particular, that there is that like really, like, I don't know the word, like tension-full history. So if you start spouting off the wrong thing, somebody's gonna knock your ass out. And like, because it's a very real part of our culture in the South. Where out here, you don't have that history, because they say, oh, we didn't have slaves out here, or we weren't part of the South. And so they'll say some really terrible, fucked up shit and be like, oh, but at least I'm not one of them people in Georgia. And like, it's like there's a lot of people out here that I'm like, yeah, go say that in Arkansas, go say that in Alabama, go say that in Louisiana, and not get your front teeth knocked out.
Well, yeah, too. And what's crazy is how different Arkansas is. Like, I mean, I just told you the stats on people going to fight for the union stuff, but you take a state like Alabama,
Yeah,
like with George Wallace. Oh man, I just encourage everybody that, like, especially here lately, like, go listen to LBJ talk to George Wallace in the White House. It's disturbing, right? And the stuff that LBJ says, like, there's one quote that a historian I had on the podcast recently shared where he was like, well, I've moved the Negro from a D- to C+. He's still nowhere. He knows it. Everyone knows it. And that's why he's out in the street. Hell, I'd be out in the street too. Like, ladies and gentlemen, our president.
damn.
Yeah, and that's 65, I think, is when that quote was, if I'm not mistaken. But it's and like what I keep kind of telling people is like, I shared this story about the death of Emmett Till, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that little boy, and you may have seen the post.
Yeah,
but then people are like, this example's too old. Like, we've come far ways since then on racial relations. How is what's going on right now connected to that? And I'm like, well, in 2008, when we put up the monument, within like a 4-year period after that, well, in this instance, someone shot the sign 317 times.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to make a steel version of the sign that's bulletproof so people would stop shooting it with guns. About this little 14-year-old boy who was murdered.
Yeah. That, and then when you see something like what happened in Minneapolis with the guy kneeling on that dude's neck, and it's
not the image we need to be seeing. I mean, that not getting into, like, for me, it's a big wound up knot, man, with a lot of issues that definitely intertwine, and racial tensions, police brutality are definitely in there together, tied in a knot with one another. But it's like, that is just, that image is extrapolate out all the anything, biases, politics, whatever. It's like, just have that image in your mind, and that image is just representative of a lot of things we have wrong with our country right now.
Yeah. And it is. And that's why, like, I was talking with some
mental health included. Mental health included. So sorry, go ahead.
I was talking with some members of my family that were like kind of taking like the super hard stance of, oh yeah, but now they're looting, and now that there's looting going on and the buildings are burning, that like this completely undermines everything about it. And it's like, I understand it. Like if I had seen my brother die that way, I'd still be burning shit down. If like my grandmother had died that way, I'd still, or if somebody had broken into my grandmother's house and shot her when they were in the wrong house and the person they were looking for was actually in fucking jail the whole time, like I'd still be burning shit down. And I completely understand the outrage from it. And I don't get where the lack of empathy comes from. That's where I'm at, is that how, and it is partly that way on both sides, but it's like, why can't you understand the emotional impact that has and why somebody would be outraged like they are? Especially It's been going on for years, and it's been countless number of people, and it's just like, look, this is the straw that broke the camel's back, not one more. Like, we're not taking this anymore. And I completely support it 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. And it's, like, here's the thing I like to point out too. Like, one, there are umbrella men and agent provocateurs dropping off pallets of bricks out in your front yard for you to throw at shit. Just being like, hey, Bair, you want some bricks to throw at shit? Like, here's 6 pallets of them. Like, what? Like, who's doing that? So there's that sort of shit going on. But outside of that, all of the regular criminals are definitely taking advantage of this. That's true. Another rogue faction. Everybody's like Antifa, white supremacist, the radical left, the radical right. When it's really, and I love the videos of the peaceful protesters just taking them the fuck down.
Yes, that has been hilarious.
Oh, it's like, so good.
Somebody going and breaking a window or something.
Oh, hell no.
Slam them on the ground.
Dude, that umbrella man the guy breaking the windows at AutoZone.
Yeah.
That is an eerie fucking video. I watched that thing 10, 12 times, and I was just like,
yeah, because like, who the fuck is that? Like, what's the driving force behind that? Like, because there's money there somewhere, and like, what raises a lot of questions.
I'll tell you a crazy conspiracy I've been hearing that makes a lot of sense is that there may not be an Antifa.
Really?
And that maybe Antifa is a conspiracy fomented by white supremacists.
Damn.
Right? Like, I don't know. Honestly, like, all I've seen is white supremacists.
Yeah.
So, but are these agent provocateurs? Maybe they are the radical left. I don't know, dude. And all we can't associate. There are all these rogue factions out there at the protest, undermining it, trying to hijack the movement. It's going on for sure. You can see it on video.
Yeah.
And so it's like, and then there's just criminals. Like they arrested this one guy, like looting in LA, and they're like, hey, why are you doing this? And he's just like, just taking advantage. Just thought this would be easy, got caught, made a mistake, but yeah, we're just taking advantage of the situation. And it's just like, that's just a criminal. That's not anybody that has anything to do with with the protests.
And what's sickening is when you have an isolated case like that, where you have somebody that's just like an opportunist, and then you'll have people in leadership positions like, oh, well, now everyone's like, they'll use that one outlier to label the whole group and demonize the whole group or the whole movement. And it doesn't get anybody anywhere.
Yeah, I know, man. And that's, well, see, so, and then too, like another thing, like I guess you could call these microaggressions or race baiting. But I've seen this, like it's like somebody will wait until it's like just about half a dozen black people coming out of the AutoZone of the Target that's being looted. Freeze frame that, take that picture, be like, look at these. I saw this one guy on my friends list formerly, and he was like, the stereotypes about them. And I was like, whoa, dude, don't call them them.
Yeah.
Right? What do you mean? Like stereotypes that people. I just like there were some keywords in there, and I was like, man, that's like super problematic. And then I was like, hey, here's a video of like, I counted about 17 white people there. Might even be more white people than black people. It sounds
Yeah,
like the
especially like the one with
stereotype.
the chunky white chick taking the lamps. Like she's coming out of Target, she's got them lamps. Like,
Dude, okay, the guy working out in Planet Fitness.
oh yeah, that was great.
And then too, the guy looting the Legos.
Yeah. Like everything's hitting the fan, and dude's got a box of
I was like,
Legos.
hey man, I would have, maybe I would have went for the Harry Potter castle. I don't know.
Oh, that's funny. That's
You
real
know,
funny.
somebody's like, I'm going to get a Millennium Falcon right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I like to, like, my perspective, hopefully the way I try to look at it is like maybe he's got like a 7-year-old or something, and he's like he can't afford to get him like a brand new Lego set. He's like, this is my chance. I'm gonna get a Lego set for my kid. But that's probably not what happened.
maybe he's like, dude, I got a ton of Legos on my table right now. Like,
Yeah.
maybe he's just a man child.
Maybe he just loves Legos.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I'm not really into Legos, but I'm into video games and things like that. That's pretty childish, so I understand.
Dude, I keep like, so this is a guilty one I have. I want to get like, so I don't know how public spaces are going to be moving forward with all people's paranoia, but I keep telling Cora, I'm like, look, we can leverage this to get rid of the seating area. We can put in a pool table. And look, I want to do all martial arts arcade games. I want Mortal Kombat over here, Street Fighter over here. We're going to do one of the original Tekkens, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like we're martial arts school. We have martial arts themed arcade games in a pool table. And she's like, you already have a podcast studio. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, foosball, air hockey. I don't know.
That's funny. I can't wait to see the new studio, man.
It's sick, dude. I am very excited. I ordered my mixer. It should be in any day.
Yeah.
And like it's the mixer. It allows me to do like what we're doing now, just like audio recording with the USB, but I can do without the USB. Obviously, it does either one, but it's got an interface, so that is what allows me to do like live band. Like it's got 24 different inputs basically.
Yeah.
So I could like mic drums, I could mic 3 guitars, I could mic 3 or 4 microphones, and not even have to unhook the podcast.
That's dope.
Yeah. So that, and I've still got 2 other mixers, a small one at my office and this one that's in here that I'm gonna put in that whiskey barrel. So
Yeah.
it's, man, it's huge. It's about 3 to 4 times the size of my room here at my house that you've been to. Custom table. It's super. I'm really excited about it, man. Have you seen the pictures of the video I shared, like when I get the floors stained or anything like that?
Yeah. I saw the videos of that, but I haven't seen anything of it like finished together.
Yeah. As soon as I get the tabletop installed, I'll spend about a day getting a bunch of stuff like set in place, and then I'll start podcasting there while I get settled in.
Hell yeah, that's gonna be dope.
Yeah.
I finally got a mic now, and I'm slowly getting the rest of the equipment, because what I was doing was having comics come over and hang out, and we would just chill and bullshit in my room and record it, and then anything that was funny I would put up later. But I'm finally getting a small setup to either, I don't know whether to call it podcast or just making videos, because it's not really a set episodic show.
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's like what I've been thinking about with the branding of like a blog.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to call it the Unraveled blog.
Gotcha.
Right. And just hit like some different topics that I'm fascinated with and just stay on just those topics instead of it being like all the topics I'm into.
Yeah.
But that's what's so cool about making videos and putting shit on the internet is that, dude, it's creating, and you could call it a podcast and put numbers to it or whatever. Like I just love doing it. So I put tons of videos on the gym YouTube, film classes, whatever. I just like getting the word out.
Yeah, and the cool thing about it is, and I'm learning it as I'm doing it, is that it's your show. Whatever it is, it's yours. You can make it however you want it. So any show you've ever watched, be like, man, they should have done this, or oh man, they should have done that. You can do that, and that's one thing that I like about it a lot.
So Have you ever looked into trademarks and trademarking your shit?
I have a little bit, but I'm not big enough yet that
I'll
it's
let you know
really
what I find out. I'm going through it
okay.
for the gym and for my podcast right now. Because check this shit out. And I didn't flex on him super hard. I called my attorney, the guy that set up he's close family friend, like not
Mm-hmm.
much older than me. He set up the LLC for us, the nonprofit. It's like corporate shield, tons of stuff. And I was like, look, dude, I got this podcast sprang up at this Oregon University with the same name. I was like, but they can't put out anything because I'm already out under that name. So what they did
Yeah.
is they bought. I never got a website till recently, so they had acquired the domain name. That's how I found out about it. So I was going to buy the domain, and I was like,
Damn. That's shady. Like they
yeah.
couldn't just come up with a better name.
Well, and on Facebook, so like my Facebook page was Life Unraveled Podcast. So
Mm-hmm.
they did like Life, comma Unraveled colon podcast, and I was like, motherfucker, you know.
Yeah.
But I call him and I'm like, dude, I want to trademark all my shit. Here's what's going down. He's like, yeah, you should do it. Here's the guy. He's gonna take care of everything. So like, but I contacted him. I was like, look, here's the thing. I was like, I've spent about probably $12,000 on this podcast so far, and I was
Right.
like, and I was like, and I'm just about to spend several thousand more because of where I'm at and my growth of the brand. I was like, and I'm willing to spend that much more to make sure you don't mess that up for me. And I was like, so I need you to take your stuff down, social media accounts, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, the domain. I was like, because I'm filing patents for trademarks, and then you're going to get a cease and desist from my attorney.
Yeah.
Like, and I was like, unless you have filed for patents first, that's going to be the order of what happens. And like,
Mm-hmm.
try to say this as nice as possible. It's like their web admin gets it, and he's just like I remember when I happened to have like Facebook open or like wherever I'd sent it was Facebook Messenger that I'd sent the page their
Mm-hmm.
page a message, and I see them typing and then not typing and then typing. It's like the three little bubbles, you know, and like for like an hour, and I was like, I see you, you know, and then we go away.
Yeah.
And then they just sent this big thing, and we're like, look, hey, so sorry about all that. Like, let's get it taken care of. My boss would really like to get this taken care of now.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we don't want. So what would have probably happened is you had some professor, some student, or some grad probably had to do a podcast for some project, and they'd never even done it. They never released an episode. And I bet they ran into the dead end of they had created it and found out I already had one, and they couldn't even.
Right. So you always got to check first, because we've come up with podcast ideas, and we had a show that we were like getting ready to film it, and then Josh, one of my roommates, was like, let's look on Google and YouTube first. Sure enough, somebody already had it, and we were like, okay, well, we're not going to do that because we're not just going to rip it off of them. And so you got to come up with your own thing.
That's the hard part. And like, I think that only like you filming videos like what you're talking about, do you even come up really with. Like I kind of knew, I was like, for a long time, I wanted to start a podcast, but then I did the same thing I did with this blog idea right now. Like I have blogged in the past, and like, basically I'm talking to everybody I know that has helped me build these ideas into something bigger, that being the podcast, the gym, talking to those same people. I'm like, I'm starting this blog. It's going to be on the gym page. It's also going to be on podcast page. It's going to be for both audiences.
Yeah.
What do you guys think that should look like? And just like bouncing ideas, like I want to come up with a catchy title, like you know, I'm gonna do topics around lifestyle and wellness stuff, but also like martial arts related history.
Yeah.
You know, and just like bouncing ideas off of people and like figuring out. But that's been how like that, and then just doing it over time, it gets so much better. Like I'm really excited about the jump I'm about to make on quality of what I'm putting out, because I've just figured out how to do more, and then it's like, okay, well, now go invest and spend the money to get the equipment, that, you know, or the studio itself. Like that was a big dream come true.
That's exciting, man. Dude, did you watch UFC 250?
I did not. So was that the one Garbrandt fought the other night and stuff?
Yeah.
I just watched the Garbrandt and Eddie Wineland fight the morning after,
Gotcha.
and then I also the Sugar Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it that Sean O'Malley fought?
That was um
Those are the only two fights on the card I watched. I just watched them. Like I woke up like 4 that next morning and watched them. And
that was Eddie Wineland, wasn't it? Didn't he fight Eddie Wineland?
I can't remember which guy fought
I
Eddie
think
Wineland.
so.
I think it was, and then Cody Garbrandt fought somebody else.
Yeah.
But Eddie Wineland had that sick little mustache.
Dude, I love that mustache. It was dope. But then that was a hell of a straight hand, man.
He slept in bad.
Yeah.
Both.
Awesome.
Well, and then Cody Garbrandt going here and then coming up and hitting that rear hook. That was a sick little play. But I've always liked that guy's boxing.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see. I wonder if he's going to have more of a resurgence than that too.
Mm-hmm. I'm definitely excited to see him fight again. I was very entertained, and that's the first fight I've ever watched personally where it ended at the buzzer. I was really excited because when it first happened live, I was nervous. I was like, "Oh shit, is he about to get in trouble?" Because like, was that like a fraction of a second past the buzzer? Is like this about to be a penalty for this? But no, they did the replay and it was right on time, so it didn't even matter.
Did you watch Bryce's fight?
Yes, I did.
Nice. I'm gonna have him. I hit him up to come back on the podcast to just do a long distance. Because he lives in Searcy area, and he's like, "Hell, man, I'll come out. We'll train." I was like, "All right."
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. Yesterday, I called an open mat. I don't even know why, but I called an open mat, and a bunch of the blue belts thought Bryce was going to be there.
Yeah.
Like this one engineering student, and they're like, "Yeah, dude, and I did come in with another black belt friend of mine that was in from Northwest Arkansas, but I was just like, open mat. I'm opening the gym up, come train. And like I did, like so another black belt rolled in with me, but it's not that big of a deal. There's a ton of black belts in the state now.
Yeah.
But they're like, "Oh, we thought Bryce was coming." I was like, "Why?" Like, well, I didn't say anything about that.
Dude, everybody in this house is a huge Thug Nasty fan. We always watch his fights.
Yeah.
Always cheering for him.
He was just on another podcast, if you want, an Arkansas podcast called the Rough and Tumble podcast.
Okay.
Everybody's starting a martial arts podcast these days. But, too, like I do that. I do the martial arts, but I do it just like Joe Rogan. Like, I'm not going to pigeonhole myself into just that audience.
Mm-hmm.
That's just like I don't want to pigeonhole myself into just a history audience.
That's partly why I don't know if you can tell, but I shaved my mullet off. It's because I wasn't trying to pigeonhole myself into like
the old
just one type of audience. Yeah, pretty much. It was fun and it was funny while it lasted, though.
It was great, dude. What little gimmicks, dude. Think of yourself like, don't think of yourself however you want, but like a comic marketing stuff. It almost seems like a fighter. How they have gimmicks periodically. Mm-hmm. Like there's a dude that fought in like basically a thong one time, and like his nut sacks came out during the fight. And there's one guy who shaved an arrow into his chest, like gimmicks. Like Conor McGregor's got tons of gimmicks working for him. But then too, like the bands, like Anthony Kiedis from the Chili Peppers. That motherfucker has changed his image a bazillion times. And it's always a cool looking image too. I'm like, oh, you have a mustache now and your hair, it's never been that way.
Dude, I think next thing I'm gonna do is that Eddie Wineland thing. I like that mustache. I want to bring that back. That was dope.
I remember seeing a guy like that at a wedding when I was a kid. He had red hair also, and he had that mustache, and it was just. I was like, damn, man. I just kept remembering like talking to my mom, being like, hey, that dude's mustache is insane. What is going on with that? It's funny.
That's my goal. I want a mustache that inspires the youth.
Yeah. Well, dude, man, I feel like we solved some of the world's problems on this podcast.
We definitely tackled them. I don't know if they're solved, but maybe at least it's open dialogue about some of them.
Yes,
open some hearts.
We'll submit it into the record and just see what people want to do with it. We'll probably get a bunch of comments on comments on the Confederacy.
Yeah,
but they can come after me. I'll let them
come after me. I'm fine with it.
I'm just like Cora brought this up the other day, and like I hadn't really thought about it because I try not to be arrogant about it. But she's like, isn't it funny when people want to debate that history with you? And I was like, well, yeah, but But it's also like I just feel a due diligence and an obligation to tell them. I don't want to argue. It's different than if you were arguing with me about something else.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you were arguing with me about USD 249, I'd be like, "Oh fuck you, bro! What the fuck you know? I own a martial art." I wouldn't be that way, but you know,
Yeah.
but it would be like it's just different. It's like I don't want to get emotional about it. I mean, it's hard not to because it's something I'm passionate about, but it's just like I just want people to know what they don't know and
Mm-hmm.
see if that like that clandestine activities or clandestine operation that Daryl Davis was on Joe Rogan. Have you listened to that yet?
Yeah, yeah, where
Listened to
he's
Clan
going in and
members.
yeah.
So knowing that exists, but maybe that's only because he's a black man, right? But knowing that you can talk to an ardent racist, an ideological racist like that, and get them to see empathy and be your friend or be friends with an African American, like that's like, oh, that's kind of like restores some faith in humanity. So it's like
For sure.
maybe if people just knew about things like the lost cause myth and the secession letters and so on, that they would look at it differently. Maybe if they knew
Also,
the history of the monuments.
I think socially too, I think it's more than just education about the history. I think they need to meet people that are different than them. They need to have friends that are completely that come from different parts of the world that have different skin color, different culture, and that will help alleviate so much of the bigotry
Yeah,
because
yes,
it like
yes.
once you see people from everywhere and you realize, oh, we're all the same thing. We are the exact same thing. It well, who was it? I think it was Mark Twain that said travel was the best cure for bigotry or something like that.
Yeah, I
I
think it
completely agree
was.
with that.
But dude, that's come up a lot when I shared that libtard status, which somebody made a dank meme out of one of my headshots. With like, I hear if you go to college, it makes you liberal. And I'm just like,
That's funny.
yeah, but several people that hadn't been to college remarked on that. And like, too, what was funny is how many people took that as me like talking down on people that weren't quote unquote educated. I was
Yeah.
like, no, I was just talking about these two old dudes that talk shit about me for getting an education and saying and start trying to stereotype me into all these boxes. With if anything, and now I'm all over the place. I'm not
Yeah.
conservative or liberal. I'm like, yeah, good luck pinning me down on any one of your aisles.
No
But
shit.
tons of people said that. They're like, man, you know, traveling, exploring, like meeting more people. That's the difference. That's what opened my eyes. That's what, and like I really do get that for sure. Well, bro, it's been a pleasure having you back on the show, man. Keep me
Hell
posted
yeah.
on
Thanks for having me, dude.
keep me posted on how everything's going there in LA, man. I've been thinking
For
about
sure.
y'all just because I know that it's a little rougher in that part of the world. So
Yeah. Hopefully, as soon as this quarantine gets lifted, I'm coming back to Arkansas. I missed my son's birthday, so I got to come back and celebrate with him. And I'll be back for a little bit. So I'll hit you up when I come back to town.
dude, hopefully we can do one in the new studio. If nothing else, you can, yeah, dude. If as long as I'm up and going, we'll do one in there. Like I see no way the table not being installed within. Like we're trying to do it this weekend. So
Oh, hell yeah.
yeah, right on, bro. Well, thanks for taking the time out, man, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, man. Have a good day. Thanks
All
for
right,
having me.
bro. See you, man.
Later.